You're listening to part 2 of Weight of Truth. Min Jae, overwhelmed by the truth of his past, has reached a breaking point. Exhausted and running on empty, his body finally gives in. But Han Rei, sensing the danger, sends Seleah just in time to avert the disaster. As we enter, the sky had turned pale gold. The air smelled faintly of rain and city dust. She paused at the entrance. Tall glass doors, a uniformed guard at the desk. Through the window behind him, she could see the part that Min Jae once mentioned. Green, wide, endless. For a moment, she forgot why she was there. Then she remembered the food in her hands. She bowed slightly, her Korean halting. 안녕하세요. I'm visiting a friend, Kim Min Jae. I bought side dishes. The guard smiled. Nay. Elevator's over there. He pointed down the hall. Seleah nodded, confused, clutching the food tighter. She wandered through the corridors, turning down the wrong halls, the hum of the fluorescent lights humming, following her. After several minutes, the guard reappeared, shaking his head with a grin. I'll take you, he said kindly. She fell in the step behind him, letting him lead. When they reached the floor, he gestured toward the door and walked away. Seleah hesitated, then knocked. No answer. She knocked again, harder. Min Jae? Silence. She pressed random numbers on the keypad, each beeping, echoing louder than the last. Error tones. Another knock. Error tones. Then, a sound, a faint groan from behind the door. Her stomach dropped. She ran back down the hall, shouting for the guard. Moments later, they both returned together. The guard fumbling with the key. The door swung open. Min Jae lay crumpled on the floor, pale and barely moving. Seleah dropped to her knees beside him, her hands trembling. Min Jae, she whispered. Please, wake up. 일어나요. His eyes fluttered once, then closed again. She pulled him into her arms, tears already falling. I found you, I'm here, she said through her breath. I found you, it's okay. 괜찮아요. The guard rushed forward, fumbling with his phone. I'll call for help, he said, but Min Jae's weak voice cut through the panic. No, I'm fine. 괜찮아요. He tried to sit up. Seleah gently assisted as he began to rise. You're not fine, she said, still crying. You passed out. He gave a faint, shaky laugh. It's nothing. I just forgot to eat, he said. The guard hesitated, watching the scene unfold, then nodded when Seleah looked up at him. Please. It's okay, she said softly. I'll take care of him from here. After the door closed behind the guard, the apartment fell quiet again. Seleah helped Min Jae up, guiding his arm over her shoulder, steadying him as they made their way to his bed. Easy, she whispered. You're heavier than you look. He smiled faintly. That's not the compliment you think it is. She ignored him, lowering him carefully onto the bed. The kitchen light glowed softly as she moved about, heating water, stirring rice into porridge, humming without even realizing she was doing it. When she came back, she sat beside him, spoon in hand. Open, she said. Ah, her tone mock serious. Min Jae blinked at her, then chuckled quietly. You don't have to. I do, she said. You haven't eaten in days, so you will. Come on, open. She lifted the spoon. He opened his mouth, swallowed slowly. A laugh escaped him, a quiet, genuine sound that startled even himself. Seleah frowned. What's so funny? He shook his head. Han Rei told me meeting you would bring me peace and happiness, he smiled softly. Maybe she was right. I could get used to this. Seleah's lips twitched. Can you not fill my spoon so full? He added, pretending to wince. She looked up, playfully cross. Don't press your luck. They both laughed, softly, freely. As the morning light spilled in across them, for the first time, it felt like the world had stopped turning just for them. Elsewhere, the evening air carried the sound of crickets. Inside the small house, Rosalie sat next to her husband, who rubbed her belly, the essence of baby Seleah gently turning over in her wound. Thomas sat nearby, his face lost somewhere between wonder and sorrow. I can't believe it, Rosalie whispered. Seeing her, older, standing right there. Thomas's voice was low. Yes, and knowing in 13 days I'll be gone. She looked away, tears bright in her eyes. Henri said it can't be changed. That it's assigned. He nodded slowly. But she's gonna try anyway. Yes, Rosalie said softly. She'll try, and when she fails, she'll lose herself. She traveled all the way back in time to stop it, to stop this. There is nothing we could possibly say to her to make her change her mind after all of that. I mean, can you blame her? He exhaled, leaning back. Actually, no, I can't. It's a bit comforting, and that's what makes it so hard. Rosalie nodded. It is. But if we don't give her closure now, she'll leave this world empty. Thomas studied her face. So what do we do? She smiled faintly. Spend time with her and give her your blessing. He frowned. My blessing? For what? Rosalie tilted her head. You know, the lanky fellow. He chuckled under his breath. Oh my goodness, what are you up to now? Don't you want our baby to be happy? Of course I do, he said. I'll do anything. Then give her your blessing. He reached out, rubbing her belly again. He didn't look up when he asked. So, you're a real witch or sorcerer or what is it? Rosalie's eyes softened. Yes, my mother's line. It's real. He nodded slowly. Really real? She smiled sadly. Yes. A silence passed, gentle, warm. Then Thomas spoke again, quieter now. I just have one question. Rosalie tilted her head. What's that? Will we meet again? She looked at him, her voice barely above a whisper. Yes. You're my only true love. We will always find each other. He smiled. Can we make sure it doesn't take too long next time? Rosalie laughed softly through her tears. Yeah, we can do something. We can try. I can do a little something to help. He reached for her hand. Okay then, let's do it. Well, what do I have to do? The light flickered once, like a candle catching its breath. She whispered something in a language he didn't know, and she leaned in to kiss him. The baby's tiny heartbeat rested between them. The link, the promise, the start of another cycle. The loop of another circle, beginning again. The room was still. Only the soft hum of the heater filled the air. Seleah sat by the window in Minjay's room. Minjay lay in his bed, half sitting beneath a blanket, his hair a little wild, his face still pale from the fever that had finally broken. He looked at her, weak smile, eyes too honest. You didn't have to stay, he said. She turned, one brow lifting. Someone had to make sure you didn't drown in your own tea. He laughed softly, a quiet rasp of warmth. For a long while, they said nothing, just the sound of the rain ticking faintly against the glass. Then Seleah spoke, voice low. You know, I can't stop thinking about him. Every time I close my eyes, he's there. I don't know if I can live without not trying, you know? Min Jae's gaze drifted toward her, calm but heavy. And if trying means losing yourself, he said. Her eyes met his, fierce, certain. Then I'll find my way back. But I have to try, even if it kills me. He pushed himself up, slow and careful, wincing. Finally, when his hand finally found hers. Then I'll help you, he said. Whatever it takes, you won't do this alone. Seleah hesitated, something breaking behind her composure. Don't promise that unless you mean it. His thumb brushed her knuckles once. I don't make promises I can't keep, he said. The silence that followed wasn't empty. It was full. Full of everything that neither of them dared to say. The next day, steam curled above the teacups, ghost-like in the light. Hanrei stood behind the counter. Seleah sat between her parents. Min Jae lingered before he sat, uncertain, his hands folded in his lap. The air was thick with the weight of things unspoken. Her father looked across the table, his voice measured but tired. Seleah, he said quietly, I know what you're planning, he exhaled. And you can't do it. Her chair creaked as she leaned forward. I'm sorry, but you can't stop me, she said. I don't want to stop you, he said, his eyes dim. I want to spare you. My time is already written. Seleah's jaw tightened. Written by who? She snapped. He looked down at his tea, shoulders sagging. Look, I have accepted it. Whatever this is. The room went cold. So what? You're gonna just give up? She whispered. No one answered. Even the clock on the wall seemed to hold its breath. Seleah stood abruptly, tears breaking through her anger. Then you know what? I can't stay here. I can't stay and just agree for you to just lay down and die. She turned and left, the doorbell clanging sharp against the quiet. Hanrei stood there, watching the doorway, long after she was gone. Finally, she turned to Seleah's father, voice soft, almost mournful. She won't stop, she said. I know, he murmured. That's the part that terrifies me. Hanrei walked closer, her presence like a scent of smoke and herbs, calm, but never still. She's her mother's child. If you block her, she'll only break through harder. He looked up, grief dark in his eyes. So what do we do? Hanrei placed her hand on his arm. Let Min Jae stay by her side. He's steady, loyal. He'll know how to keep her grounded. He frowned slightly. And you think that's going to be enough? No, she said simply. But it's what we have. She turned toward the window, thinking, eyes lost, drifted off to another place. We'll need to do more than protect her, she murmured. We'll need to prepare her. My worry is that the anchor that she used was you, Thomas, in order to cast that spell. The ring. And if something happens, or when she will no longer have a stable connection to this time. Time travel is very tricky. Needless to say, let's not get ahead of ourselves. A spark flickered between her calm and an idea forming. Something old, something dangerous. Don't worry, she says. I have my ways of getting things to turn around. No more worry for tonight. We'll talk again soon. She waved as they left, softly closing the door behind them. Aunt Ray rustled around the shop, as she was expecting Seleah to return soon. If she truly means to change what's written, she said to herself, she'll need a tether strong enough to survive the unraveling. The light shifted, catching her green eyes. Maybe the key isn't stopping her fate. Maybe it's keeping her alive long enough to finish what I've started. The shop was nearly dark. Only one lamp burned in the back, its light bending through jars of dried herbs, making the walls shimmer green and gold. Henry sat behind the counter, sorting leaves into a bowl, when the bell over the door gave a small, tired ring. She didn't look up. You came back, she said quietly. Seleah stepped inside, her shoulders slumped, her voice hoarse from arguing, crying, and talking to herself. I couldn't stay there even though I wanted to, she said. They all look at me like I'm crazy. Henry glanced up now, eyes calm and clear. Are you? Seleah froze in the doorway. Her answer came sharp, almost a whisper. No. Then sit, Henry said. Crazy or not, you look like a woman carrying too much. Seleah sank into the chair opposite her. The silence between them was heavy, not uncomfortable, just true. Finally, Henry asked, her tone soft but precise. Tell me why you're so determined to save him, even if it means losing your life. Seleah's hands clenched in her lap. She tried to speak twice before the words finally came. Because he asked me to. Henry blinked once, slowly. What do you mean he asked you? Seleah looked up, her eyes glassy, rimmed with exhaustion. In my time, before I came here, he visited me, often. Not like a dream, not really. He'd just appear. Some nights, I'd smell his aftershave or hear his laugh. I thought I was losing it, but it kept happening. And then, on New Year's, when the moon was full, her voice trembled. He was right there. He looked at me and said, Find me, Seleah. Please, find me before it's too late. Henry had gone completely still. The candle beside her flickered. Its flame turned green for half a second. Seleah noticed, but she said nothing. Finally, Henry leaned forward, voice barely a whisper. When were you born? Seleah hesitated. January 1st, she said quietly. Why? Henry sat back, exhaling through her nose, half awe, half understanding. Of course you were. Seleah frowned. What does that mean? Henry's gaze lifted, her tone measured, reverent. You were born under the mirrored moon. It's rare. 2 full moons reflecting across time, one in this world, one in the next. Children born under that light can walk between both worlds. They dream across lifetimes. They're able to call to the ones that have passed and hear those who cannot rest. Seleah's throat tightened. So, I'm not imagining him? Henry shook her head. No. You're calling him. And he to you. And every time you think of him, you pull him closer. You've done it so many times, the veil between you has thinned. Seleah's voice fell to a whisper. then I can save him. Yeah? Hanrei's eyes softened, but something behind them flickered. Pity, maybe, or the quiet ache of someone who already knew the ending. She said nothing at first, only the sound of her hand brushing across the counter, collecting the stray leaves she had been sorting. When she finally spoke, her voice was careful, almost tender. There are things in this world that even magic cannot undo, child. Seleah's head snapped up. But you just said... I said you have power, Hanrei interrupted gently. And you do. But power doesn't mean control. Sometimes it only means connection. Seleah's brows furrowed, confusion shadowing her eyes. Then what am I supposed to do? Just stand here and let him die? Hanrei sighed softly, the sound like wind through paper. No. You help him find peace. If you cannot save the body, you save the spirit. Seleah swallowed, the fight still clinging to her. And how do I do that? Hanrei studied her, not the desperate girl before her, but the force pulsing beneath her skin. She could see it now, more clearly. It was rare, bright, untamed, and it could open doors. Doors even Hanrei herself had never thought she could ever open. She smiled faintly. By giving him what he fears losing the most. Seleah looked at her, lost. What's that? Love, Hanrei said simply. You bind it. You make sure it never fades, not even in death. She reached for the candle, tilting it so the wax dripped slowly into a small clay bowl. The scent of lavender and something metallic filled the air. A binding ceremony, she said. It's a sacred ceremony, she continued, between your mother and your father. If your spell doesn't work, and you must prepare yourself for that, my dear, then this will keep them joined. So when he crosses over, his heart will rest, he will not wander, and he will not call to you. Seleah's face softened, her anger folding into grief. Bind them together again? Yes. It's a sacred rite of love, Hanrei said, her tone light but deliberate. It will help him let go, help your mother too, and maybe, in time, it will help you. But more importantly, it will give them another chance to find each other again, if they so choose. A little magical tracking device, so to speak. It will allow him to rest, because he will know when it's time to meet again. And that certainty will bring him the peace that he longed for. Seleah exhaled, her eyes shining in the candlelight. It sounds beautiful. Hanrei nodded once, still watching her carefully. Beautiful things often are. Seleah looked down at her hands, trembling. I'll do it. Whatever you say. Hanrei's smile lingered, gentle, unreadable. Good. I'll prepare what we need. Tomorrow you'll let your parents know to prepare themselves for the binding ceremony. The ceremony will be small, quiet, just family, and Minjay. I am certain it's the news your mother wanted to hear today. Seleah nodded, her voice barely there. Thank you. 감사합니다. Hanrei reached out, brushing a strand of hair from the girl's face. Get some rest, she said. Tomorrow you'll need your strength. Seleah gathered her things and turned to leave to go to her room. Hanrei's expression changed, soft kindness fading into thought. She stared at the flickering flame, her reflection moving in the glass beside it. she can cross the veil, Henry said to herself. If she can call across the veil, if she can reach her father, then she can reach the mother, too. The candle burned higher for a breath, green at its edges, as if it heard. Henry smiled faintly. Yes, she whispered. One more step closer. Soon, everything will come together. Soon. The morning light crept through the blinds, turning the jars of herbs into tiny stained glass windows. Seleah sat at the table, a notebook open, her pen motionless. The words on the page were meant to be a list. Herbs, symbols, items Henry had mentioned, but all she could see was her father's face. The doorbell chimed softly. She didn't move. Are you always this quiet in the morning, or is it just me? Minjay asked. She turned, a small smile breaking through the fog. He stood in the doorway, casual this time, no uniform, sleeves rolled, eyes tired but kind. You look better, Seleah said. And you look worse. She smirked faintly. Thanks. He stepped closer, setting 2 paper cups on the counter. Tea. Don't ask me what kind. The lady downstairs just smiled and handed it to me like she knew I needed help. Seleah took one gratefully. I'm heading to my parents today. I need to tell them about a binding ceremony. The one I think Henry suggested. Kind of. She nodded. She said it might help my father. If the worst happens. He'll need peace before anything else can be done. Minjay studied her face for the moment. The quiet resolve there. You're really not slowing down, are you? Seleah looked away. If I stop now, I'll never start again. He nodded once. The kind of nod that meant he understood even if he didn't agree. All right, then. I'll walk you there. The house smelled like old books and cinnamon. Seleah's mother was already in the kitchen, a faint sound of dishes clinking. Her father sat at the table, half reading the newspaper, pretending not to wait for them. When Seleah entered, he smiled, small, forced. Didn't expect you so early, he said. Henry asked me to come. She thinks it's time. Time for what, he said. The binding ceremony between you and Mom. It's supposed to help settle things, I guess. The words land like stones in the quiet. Her mother froze in the doorway. Her father leaned back on the sofa, folding the paper slowly. Settle things, he repeated, or say goodbye. Before she could answer, the doorbell rang. 3 short knocks. Her father's expression shifted. He stood up immediately. I'll get it. The man at the door wore a stiff expression. He was older, confident. His presence filled the space like smoke. Seleah lingered at the edge of the hall, her hand resting lightly on the wall. She couldn't see their faces clearly, just their outlines through the glass. Their voices were low at first, formal, then sharper. She heard the man say, "It's not a request, Mitchell. It's an order." Her father's voice followed, restrained but taut. "With all due respect, sir, this isn't protocol." His commander leaned closer, his voice colder. "Then consider it an exception," he said. Silence. Then the soft scrape of boots on the porch. Seleah stepped closer, the tension pulling her forward. Through the window, she saw the man's shoulders and his outline. And she also saw her father's shoulders stiffen, the kind of posture he only used when something was very wrong. When he turned back inside, his face was pale, jaw tight. Her mother's eyes searched his from across the room. Everyone could see the tension in his face. What was that about? Seleah asked. He hesitated. Orders, a reassignment, temporary. Seleah frowned. You don't think we believe that? He looked at her sharply, startled that she had spoken. Then he sighed. No, I don't. He's been watching me for a few weeks now, ever since I questioned the last mission. I felt he had been responsible for the loss of one of our comrades. Seleah's mother. You think he's targeting you? I think he really just wants me to keep quiet. Fall in line with the rest, he said. A silence fell. Then Min-jae's voice, steady from where he stood near the door. Then you can't ignore it. File a complaint. Her father gave a bitter laugh. That's not how it works, honestly. Maybe not before, Min-jae said. But maybe that's exactly how it changes. If you push back now, it could stop him, or maybe he'll just think he can just do anything he wants. His father studied him, the younger man's conviction surprising him. Do it, Dad, please. He looked between them, his daughter's eyes, Min-jae's steady calm, and finally he nodded. I'll give it a go. I'll file the report. What's the worst that could happen? Tomorrow, then. I'll do it tomorrow. Seleah and Min-jae walked back towards Hanrei's shop, the street lights flickering one by one. Seleah was quiet. Her mind was running. Finally, she spoke. There's something off about that man, the commander, she said. The way he looks at my father. Like he's already guilty of something. You think he's connected? Min-jae said. I don't think, she said softly. I feel it. He glanced at her, half skeptical, half believing. So what are you going to do? I'm going to watch him. Follow him if I have to. He stopped walking. Seleah, I'm serious. He exhaled, rubbing the back of his neck. You know this could go wrong in every possible way, don't you? She gave him a small, defiant smile. Then, I need you to make sure that it doesn't. He looked at her for a long moment. Then he gave in. Fine. I'll call off work then. We'll do it your way. They started walking again, side by side now. Ahead, a faint glow of Hanrei's shop spilled into the street like a beacon. Min-jae quietly said, And after? What happens after? After what? The ceremony, Seleah said. Well, we see what fate decides next. That's all I can do, really. The light from the shop shimmered green for just a second, and neither of them noticed. Morning light poured through the front windows. Seleah stayed nestled in the back rooms, too stressed to dare to be cheered up by the light. The smell of dried herbs and seeped tea filled the air. Min-jae leaned against the counter, half smiling as Hanrei handed him a small bag of herbs. For energy, you both look like ghosts. Maybe we are, he said. Seleah appeared from the back room, hair pulled back, clothes plain, no fuss. Here early again, he shrugged. It's starting to feel like a habit, he said. Hanrei watched them with a faint smile, one that was hard to muster. Knowing eyes, glaring. Habits can be good, she said, trying to break the tension. They keep us alive, she said. Seleah rolled her eyes, but smiled back. Breakfast first? Min-jae nodded. Then herb shopping, he said. And maybe that dress shop near the station. She paused. You're actually trying to remember things now? Seleah said. He grinned faintly. Trying to. The sun hung low, tinting the sky gold. They walked side by side through narrow lanes lined with stalls. Herbs bundled in string, bright cloth swaying in the wind. Binge carried most of the bags. Seleah kept shopping to pick out small bottles or dresses that caught her eye. She held up a piece of pale green silk. This would look good on my mother, she said. She likes soft colors. He smiled. You're thinking ahead. That's good. Trying not to think too far, actually, she replied quietly. He didn't ask her what she meant by that. They just kept walking, their hand brushing once or twice, neither of them pulling away. Later that evening, dinner was half eaten, laughter half spoken. For once, the air in the house felt easy. Seleah's father looked lighter, even teased Minjay about his appetite. Then came the knock, heavy, 3 times. The laughter died instantly. Her father stood up, a shadow moving across his face. Seleah's mother, don't. He gave her a quiet look. It's fine. I'll get it. He opened the door. The commander was there again, this time without the mask of formality. His coat hung open, his voice sharp and low. You made a mistake, Thomas. Her father didn't flinch. I followed procedure, sir. Procedure? The man spat. You filed a complaint against me. You left me no choice, sir. The commander stepped closer, grabbing his collar, the porch light catching the rage in his eyes. You think this will end well for you? You think they're going to protect you, he said. Seleah and Minjay, watching through the window, gasped softly. She started forward, but Minjay caught her wrist. Don't. Not yet, he said. Outside, her father's voice stayed steady. I won't be a part of this anymore, sir. Whatever you're hiding, it'll come out. Then you just signed your own death notice. He shoved him once, hard, then turned and walked off into the dark. The sound of his boots echoed down the street until it was swallowed by the night. The front door closed with a dull thud. Seleah rushed forward, her hands trembling as she grabbed her father's sleeve. What did he say? What did he do? Her father didn't answer right away. He just looked at her, eyes glassy, distant, and then at Minjay, who stood silently behind her, watching. Finally, he exhaled. Nothing we can't handle. Seleah shook her head, tears starting to rise. She threw her arms around him, holding on tight, her face buried in his neck. He hesitated, then slowly, almost uncertainly, wrapping his arms around her. The clock on the wall ticked once, twice. In the corner, the candle Hanrei had given them for protection flickered, its flame bending green for the briefest moment, before studying itself again. There you are. That's it. Thanks for listening to Smoke Between Worlds. If you are enjoying the story, don't forget to share, like, and subscribe. Episode 4, The Believer, is up next. And trust me, things are just about to get started.